summer returned, more than our fair share of smashes and upsets. Let's hope Week 2 can deliver on similar surprises, starting with Cloud9 versus Echo Fox. Yasui and Lost have to face some of the most veteran players in their positions. We'll see how they and the rest of Echo Fox match up for Game 1 against that Cloud9 roster, who currently sit undefeated at the top of the standings. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LCS Countdown, where for 30 minutes we re-examine Meteos' historic career in the LCS and check in on our newest analyst turned PA until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champions Select. Now, earlier this week, Faceit and LCS joined forces to create the first ever official qualifying circuit for LCS Scouting Grounds. Now, Scouting Grounds circuit will take place from July to August to find the best amateur teams in North America. The top 2 teams from the Faceit qualifiers will seed into the LCS Scouting Grounds in November. Solo Q stars, fear not, though. You can still qualify via the ladder, and we'll share more info about how you can qualify in the next few days over on lolesports.com.
Having done the Scouting Grounds last few years, I'm super excited to hear that there's even more resources getting pumped into it, as well as more paths. I'm glad to see that the 5 Friends in a Dream is back.
And it brings me back to the days of the Go for Lols, the original really low-value tournaments that you just play for practice, get good with your team, make $100 every weekend.
Or more. I think
Actually,
the prize
it's
pools
less.
have jumped just
Maybe.
I was looking through the article just a bit yesterday around some of those qualifiers.
Great.
They're not massive prize pools, but at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is that there is more opportunity for players to find their way to the top, make a name for themselves, or even get themselves in front of some of that LCS team talent that might look to use them either in the Academy League or even here on the LCS stage in the future. After Week 1, though, we have 3 teams unscathed, with Cloud9, Golden Guardians, and Optic Gaming all at 2-0, while 100 Thieves, Clutch, and FlyQuest aim to pick up their first wins with our matches today.
I'm really surprised that Optic is up there with a 2-0. They were kind of struggling last season, but they came out swinging, and Meteos died, I think it was twice in 2 matches. One of them was an execute that was really unnecessary when the game was already won. And I think that they are gunning for a playoff spot this split, and it's looking really good for Optic.
I'm just surprised that TSM and Team Liquid are both at 1-1. We thought whoever would win that head-to-head would end that weekend 2-0, but after Team Liquid dropped to Echo Fox, both of them have a loss on their record.
Right. The TL win over TSM was a little surprising given the slow start we expected from TL. They kind of fell back down to earth the very next day against Echo Fox, while TSM picked up their first win of the split. Let's see, though, who the teams in 8th will face as we turn to the schedule. 100 Thieves have the tall task of taking down Team Liquid in Game 2, with TSM versus FlyQuest shortly after, and Clutch opposite Golden Guardians to close out the day. Pretty soon, though, Captain Flowers and Kobe, they'll be bringing you Game 1, so let's hear what they have their eyes set on for Cloud9 versus Echo Fox.
Thank you very much, Dash. I'm excited to be bringing y'all game number 1 in not too long, as he just mentioned, alongside Mr. Sam Kobe Hartman Kinsler, because we have got an LCS newcomer in Lost, aiming to test himself against yet another one of the most veteran 80 carries in North America.
Yeah, Sneaky versus Lost is a very big difference in experience here. Lost has had a few games on the LCS stage. Sneaky has had over 400 here, 424 career LCS games to 23. And there is also a fairly big difference as far as how they have started the season. Sneaky, as you can see, almost a 12 KDA there for himself. Has, started out very strong with Cloud9, picking up right where they left off. But for Echo Fox, they've shown a lot of confidence in Lost in simply just putting him in, over Apollo and Phoenix, putting Soligo and Lost, some of these newer guys on the stage. Now they've got, the first week of LCS out of the way for themselves. They beat Team Liquid, got some of the jitters out of the way. And the word out of the scrims for Fox was a lot of the confidence of putting Lost in was because he was doing so well in the scrims. So we'll see if they can translate that to the stage here versus one of the biggest veterans that the LCS has.
I mean, we already saw Echo Fox have to go up against Team Liquid last week. They managed to take them down. Yasui and Lost showed that they were able to play up against extremely experienced players in Jensen and Doublelift. If you can do it once, you can do it twice, right? Can't be that hard, but we're taking a quick break. When we return, it's more LCS Countdown. Don't you go anywhere.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown. We're about 22 minutes away from that first game of the day. And after week one dust settled, a couple of pros stepped into the spotlight. So the analysts are keeping their eyes on these 5 in our players to watch. For week 2, they are the Golden Guardians Ole, Solo from Echo Fox, FlyQuest Viper, the Junglers for TSM, and Meteos.
Smash them
Optic
both in
Gaming.
there.
Yeah, we're going to throw them both in there. We'll be checking in on all of these players throughout the weekend, but with Solo stepping up on stage in not too long, I do want to point out how much of a standout he was in his game versus Team Liquid last week.
He was great. His gangplank pretty much carried that game to victory, and he has just been steadily improving as a teammate and as a player ever since he joined the league. I'm really excited to see him continue to do so because he always goes under the radar. Even after today, when we praise him, if they win or lose, he's still not going to be in the top 5 conversation, but he is good enough to be there. It's just a matter of not having the star shining power that a lot of the other competition in the top lane has, but that still doesn't matter or mean much to him because he always performs.
Well, I think the whole top 5 conversation, he can put himself in there with the next couple opponents he's got. These are pretty much all the best top laners in the league in most people's minds. Licorice, Broken Blade, Someday, and Rune, who's come over from the TCL recently and people have high hopes for. That's really going to solidify himself as a top half of the league top laner, and even higher if he has performances like he had versus Team Liquid.
And I think, well, you know, we are beginning to recognize his individual skill level and prowess on the LCS stage and his growth, as you mentioned, Crumbs, throughout his career. The team success is also one of those things that's still missing, right? Whereas you can look at other stars from the LCS, the LCS era, and a lot of them have a title or at least finals appearances behind them, and Solo still looking for some of those things to add to his resume that might put him over the top.
That's why Echo Fox is a good fit. The team doesn't necessarily have like that one shining star player that you really look out after every single time that is consistent, and Solo can step up to be that. A few more games, a few more weeks of playing the way he is now, and it might just be Solo's team.
All right, and while Solo, of course, continues his climb towards legendary LCS status, for a lot of veteran LCS fans, there are a couple of North American pros that stand out as pillars of the league. But if you're new to this scene, Optic's Meteos might not be in that conversation. A Spark Notes of his history in the LCS, however, shows that he is still one of the best. Here's LCS Oversimplified.
It's 2013, the early days of the LCS, when Meteos makes his debut with Cloud9. And instantly, everything's coming up Meteos. The team climbs to the top and Meteos bags the Summer Playoffs MVP. Cloud9 were the team to beat until they weren't. They began a series of roster changes, and in 2016, Meteos stepped away from competitive play for a well-deserved break. And so the league said goodbye to one of the greats. But guess what? He's back! It's 2017, and Phoenix One just survived relegation. Now, in a 3-series losing streak, they call upon the Dark Arts to summon Dark Meteos and finish the split in 3rd, gaining a spot in Rift Rivals. Huzzah! Franchise mode. A new era begins, and once again, Meteos leads the team to the finals, this time under the pinstripe 100 Thieves banner. The following split, 100 Thieves looks to make a change. After a quick stopover at FlyQuest, Meteos joins Optic. Optic go from finishing 9th to finishing 7th place. In this split, they'll go on to win the whole damn LCS! Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
1, 2, 3, Optic!
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty incredible if Optic went on to win the whole LCS.
Right.
Maybe going a little too far. Maybe a little
Everything but
oversimplified.
that last part, though.
Yeah, everything else was
When
right.
you call upon the dark arts, you can achieve anything.
That is very true. I think we do have to continue to acknowledge Meteos and his career. Just taking a look at some of these stats, they're absolutely nutty.
Yeah, these are first ballot Hall of Famer type numbers. You know, the insane win rate, 4th best all time, has been to multiple finals, won a couple, and also got to the World Championship a number of times. Huge performances, especially early on in his career. Like, when you look at this guy, he is hands down one of the best players North America has ever seen.
And we said top 4 in win rates. Let's contextualize that number because I think number of games played here is going to color that conversation even more.
Yeah, you can see that pretty much is just Meteos and Sven Skaren here. full disrespect, blabbering elements. You don't have
You
enough
mean no
games.
disrespect.
Get
No,
out
full
of there.
disrespect.
Get out of there. Svenskaren's number 1. Meteos is number 2, which actually is really cool because that's 3 Cloud9 junglers that are in the top 5. So maybe this team knows a few things about jungling.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, and it's someone who has, in the last couple splits and how his time with 100 Thieves ended, kind of fallen outside that conversation of one of North America's best of all time. But when you go back and really think about everything he achieved, going to Phoenix 1 after a huge break and kind of bringing them to 3rd and all those other achievements he has, it really does stand out as a testament to how good he is.
Right, the other 2 notables on that list being Sneaky and Bjergsen, of course, with both having 200 more games than even Meteos does and just a slightly worse winning percentage. But again, has to be recognized that for Meteos, a guy who's been on teams that aren't necessarily making it to finals every single time, he is still boasting those kinds of individual numbers and win rates that make it impressive.
Well, and on more different teams, Bjergsen, TSM,
Right.
Sneaky, C9, all the time. And then Svenskeren, okay, you swap between those 2, but those are the only teams he's been on in North America. Meteos has been on 5 different teams.
C9, Phoenix 1, 100 Thieves, Optic. Am I missing one in there? Oh, and FlyQuest.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, 5 teams. You were correct. I mean,
right.
5 compared to 1. He is jumping from org to org, different coaching structures, different teammates, and yet he's still finding ways to be successful.
It's almost as if you're going to build a team and you're looking for a jungler. These stats are really good.
Hey, all right, last week, Mark placed his faith in FlyQuest, and as a result, he earned himself a new title. So let's see how Mark did as PA for a day.
All right, man, let's go. Half an hour late. Gotta go. Gotta move it.
It's talent call time. What do you mean?
Talent call time. We're PAs. We're actually working today. We're not playing around, talking about games. Let's go. I'm telling you, man, this might be the most important day of your life. Your life might change after this.
I really doubt that.
Look, if we don't do our jobs right, people get hurt. Show doesn't go well. People lose a lot of money. All right, you see that light?
Yeah?
That light's not on. The show doesn't go out. This is the most important part of the job. This needs to be on. All right?
I never see that on.
It's always on.
Mark, it'd be super great if I had some coffee right now. I don't know what's going on.
We're starting in like 2 minutes.
You get some levels?
Mark.
Is this good?
About time, Mark. Come on. You trying to kill me, Mark?
No, it's just coffee.
Mark, how long is it in the microwave for?
5 minutes. That's standard, isn't it? Yo, Joel, when do I get my own headset?
What is this about getting a headset?
Well, I thought you weren't really a PA, so you get your own.
You don't get one, dude. You earn it.
What, am I not earning it right now?
You're on your way. I mean, you might not make it.
All right.
Here you
Okay. Take number 3.
My lady.
Now, this actually feels like we got the right temperature for once, Mark, which is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie, but problem is now I'm not thirsty because I'm already full of shitty coffee.
Is he always like this? Not with me.
To every new guy?
Nope, just you. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Mark's a dum dum. That's my talent. Let's go.
What's up, Freak? What's up, PA?
Well done, Mark. To tell us more about his growth as a PA, we've got his mentor, Executive Production Assistant, Joel, with us. Joel, glad to have you. How you doing today?
Happy to be here. It's really nice back here.
It is.
Yeah,
quite
I like
nice,
it back
right?
here.
But
Yeah, I do.
that's because you keep it that way, not him. I know that for sure.
I took the trash out.
How was it surviving an entire day having to clean up after a Mark over here?
It started off pretty rough, and it actually got worse and worse as the day wore on, but he's got potential.
So it wasn't really a redemption story. He has potential, though. That's
Yeah, a
good
little
to
bit.
hear. Okay.
Would you hire him?
I would. In fact, we're kind of short today, so Mark, I brought a little gift.
Oh,
and,
sweet.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Here you go.
All right, Mark.
Did I
try that
earn it
on.
this time? Or is this
No,
just
it's
pity?
just
No, this is
last
an
resort
emergency,
kind of
last
thing.
resort kind of situation.
Yeah.
But hey, you found yourself a headset nonetheless. That's
Promoted.
a step up for you, my friend.
Oh, someone's actually talking back to me in there.
Oh, really? What are they?
They said hello. And someone puked in the bathroom. They need to go clean it up.
Yeah, you should get that.
Yeah, you should.
Sorry.
I'll cover. I'll say.
Oh, yeah, please do. Please do. All right,
yeah.
sweet. So here we go. The three of us, Joel with his phenomenal analysis. First game of the day, we got Echo Fox Cloud9. Who are you calling for it?
Fox.
Fox, what's the reasoning behind that?
Upset. I feel like it. Let's do it.
Feeling the upset. Joel calls it right here. Joel is one of the many reasons we are proud of the work that we do here at the LCS. If you want to show your support for the league, check out the newest line of swag available at lcsmerch.com. Meet us back here after the break for more LCS Countdown. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where we're narrowing in on Echo Fox versus Cloud9. An interesting discussion, though, came out of last week's games, and I wanted to have the two of these guys weigh in on the following. Should teams be looking to play creative, or should they find comfort in more standard picks? And before we get into the actual debate itself, these guys will each be taking one side of the argument. I think we should define creative here as it's applicable to League of Legends.
And so creative can mean a lot of different things, and what we kind of hit as the middle ground was that it's about the surprise factor. That's really what creativity is giving you. It's a surprise. So it could have been something that was meta a long time ago that no one's playing anymore, and you bring it back. That is surprising and creative in the current meta. It can also just mean for a specific player. Aurelia is a common mid laner. Froggen never plays it, so like that could be an example of something that is defined as
creativity for that team. And so, of course, the definition of creative will have different meaning towards different teams. But in general, these guys are going to take 1 point each, counterpoint on this topic. So, Crumbs, you're going to kick us off. Should teams be playing creative or finding comfort in standard?
Well, I'm glad Mark defined it, because that's the last thing we're going to agree upon in this entire segment. It's got to be you go creative. Every single team should play creative. And the reason why is because it gives you a massive advantage in the draft.
I love it. We made a graphic for every team.
How is it categorized?
I love it.
Alphabetical? Okay.
It's colored. It's color-coded. You see? It's kind of it gives you rainbow
A little bit of the
vibes.
rainbow. Pride Month, baby.
Again, creativity takes its place in the LCS, and the reason why you do it is because you keep your opponents on your toes. The more champions that keep being added into Summoner's Rift, the more opportunities you have to counterpick, to surprise somebody. And so yes, Froggen is a good example. He does not play an Irelia, but he's usually known for his Vel'Koz, his Karthus, his Anivia. And so when he plays Irelia, it is a meta pick, but the opponent did not expect it, so they were not able to prepare for it. And that's what I want to see out of every single team. throw a curveball in the draft, make sure you get an advantage out of an unexpected pick.
Hey, I'm all for everyone having their kind of play style, but that to me is where it should stop. Because if you look at some of the best teams in the world, say from MSI, everyone likes to look at G2 and they say, oh my God, G2 is so good and they're so creative. That's their strength. But I think it's just as bad to say no, like just follow the standard Korean meta like teams have done in the past. I think it's just as wrong to be like, look at G2, they're creative all the time. Let's all be creative too, because you're not as good as them at it. So look at some of these drafts from the team that was in the finals against them versus IG, the former world champions. Nothing there is really that creative. All those are things that are already well understood for the most part. Doublelift playing super meta, Smithy playing meta, Impact playing his frontline mage champions. There's nothing abnormal about this draft. Same for SKT, the people on the other side of the bracket going up against G2, a full 5-game series. They played standard, they played their game, and I think that's the most important thing. For me is, yes, creativity is great, and when you pull it off, it's hyphy, oh my God, pike top, but not everyone's Wonder. We've already seen that, and I think you should not just follow other people being creative, you should not just pull random stuff out, because if you're a great standard team, like an SKT, like a Team Liquid, I think you actually hurt yourself more by going for a Heimerdinger mid. What the hell was that? I don't want to see that in finals, like Jensen did.
Yeah.
So that's not what I want to see out of a team like Team Liquid.
Counterpoint, that's going too far.
Counterpoint.
Going too far. So yes, I don't want to see things like Heimerdinger, but I want to see creativity in the sense of a champion like Lux that we have in the support role right now. A few people are playing it around the world. It kind of fizzles in, and so people are not necessarily preparing for it. So every single team now has an opportunity to play that Lux support, and then suddenly you throw a curveball, they don't know what to do in the draft, it's also a flex pick, and suddenly you got yourself a win on the board. And it's not something wild, right? It's not a Heimerdinger mid, it's actually a mage in the
But you
bottom.
say you want every team to be creative.
Yeah.
How are you going to say the Heimerdinger is not a creative pick or good creative pick until you see it in practice?
Because Heimerdinger is a bad champion.
But I
But
mean,
a team
you look
clearly
at
thought it was
somebody
good.
like Hjarnan, who had an incredible record
Right,
on
in mid.
Yeah.
It's good in
Okay,
every...
fine.
Yeah, it's
But
bad in mid.
people legitimately thought it was good, so they tried it. I'm saying a team like Team Liquid can win without trying all the fancy stuff. They don't need all the bells and whistles to win.
I want to throw a question to both of you, one to each of you. So first I'll come to you, Mark. When it comes to wanting teams to stay away from the creativity in some sense, how do you reconcile the idea that playing standard makes you predictable? And so therefore, if you're just not the ultimate best team at playing standard, you stand no chance playing against anyone above you who plays standard.
Because you will get more practice.
No, I'm not on your side. I'm going to ask you a question right after this.
You will get more practice on what you're good at than any other team. The downside for being creative is you spend time finding things, and sometimes they don't work out, like a Heimerdinger. And when you are so good at a certain controlled play style, that just happens to be what your team is good at. You're not good at having 20 champions in your pool. Sorry, Impact and Doublelift. Doublelift does not have a good deep champion pool. He has a good champion pool. He doesn't need to learn he doesn't need to learn Swain. I don't want to see him on Swain. That's not what he's good at. He's never going to be good at that.
Well, so Mark, in his answer, kind of coughed up my question to you, which is the idea of, so in creativity, it requires players and teams to workshop new picks, to dedicate large amounts of time to figuring out whether or not something is even stage worthy, and then therefore to be picked only to win or lose, and maybe be a determining factor in making playoffs, not making worlds, not making. And so how do you reconcile the idea of time investment just for the opportunity or chance at finding the right pick?
Very easy, very easy.
Okay.
You don't have your team actually do it. You have scouts, you have people that look across the globe for picks that work in specific scenarios. You've got analytics sites, you've got tools, you've got individual people that you can consult to actually speak about what's a good pocket pick that you're seeing in solo queue right now at any level. And so you don't need to spend time as a player practicing. You just show up to practice one day. What do the analysts say? Oh, it's about Lux support right now. Okay, and then you try it. Okay, it doesn't work. Not for me. You move on. So it wastes very little time. And yes, standard does help you. You can get to the top. But if we're trying to craft championship, world-winning teams here, you have to come up with something that nobody else has done.
Well, it's a debate that clearly does not have a resolution just yet, but we want you to weigh in on the discussion online with who you
smells.
think is right, Crumbs or Mark. Tweet us at lolesports and let us know what you think in terms of playing creative or playing standard. Earlier, though, Avli caught up with Coach Song and has a report on the team's confidence coming into Game 1. Take a look.
Thanks, guys. Just spoke with Coach Song, and he said that the team is doing great after their victory against Team Liquid last week. He said that one of the sole reasons for it was just because they felt so comfortable when it came down to the draft. For the meta, he said that it is a perfect time for Echo Fox right now just because it fits so well with the strengths of each of their players. As for adding Lost and Yusui to the roster, he said that although they're a little inexperienced, they have super strong mechanics, which is going to allow them to smurf on Cloud9 today. Back to you.
Well, some thoughts from Coach Song on Echo Fox's prospects against Cloud9 today, looking to hand them their first loss, but I want to get some win conditions on the board from the two of you. So, Mark, we're actually going to start on that end of the desk. You get Cloud9. How do they take the W?
Easy. First, you got to focus on top lane. So you're going to draft for top. You're going to play towards the top side in-game. You're going to award for your top laner in Licorice. You're going to talk about top lane in-game. You're going to eat top, sleep top, dream top. Everything's top lane.
There's a lot of top.
There's a lot of top. Yusui has not been super impressive so far, though he has potential. Same thing for Lost. But until that potential turns online, there's one threat that we've seen out of Echo Fox, and it's Lost, and that happens, or excuse me, that's Solo, and that goes up against your best player in Licorice. So just use all your resources on your best player, which counters their best player.
Flex your strongest muscle even harder in the top lane to hold down Echo Fox. But Crumbs, how does Echo Fox turn the tables on Cloud9?
All right, so I'm glad that we got to see Flowers and Kobe's point on the Echo Fox Cloud9 matchup, and you've got the bottom lane. Sneaky has 400 more games than his counterpart Lost. So
absolute insanity.
It's gonna be a bit of a trouble, and that's where nerves come in. These are new players. They just got added to the roster. They're just playing now, so it's all about you got to take those nameplates off, treat the match like a solo queue game, make sure that the mental is up to speed. That's the most important thing for Echo Fox here because they need to understand, yeah, we might be new, but we can still rock. We can still play our matches, and if you keep these young players playing like they do in solo queue, where it's just aggressive all the time, it will really go a long ways to helping them dethrone somebody like Cloud9 that has been consistently a great team.
I was going to say, I think much more important the fact that they're going against Cloud9, they'll need that kind of mental resilience and that go-get-'em attitude because Cloud9 has been willing to fight every step of the way. Win or lose, they'll take it to you just the same. With game time just about a minute away, let's go ahead and get your predictions for the day. It looks like we align on Cloud9 and Team Liquid taking the first two games of the day, but an interesting one there in the third game. Mark Z, how many times are you going to throw faith behind FlyQuest or into a FlyQuest matchup? I think that's always the matchup you decide to pick different.
I don't decide to pick different. Something just happens. So like when I pick them in their favorites, they lose.
They lose, and then
when I bet on them and against them, and every time it screws me. So if I voted TSM, I'd be taking my man Crumbs down with me because we'd both be wrong.
That's true.
Because I'm always going to be wrong about FlyQuest.
Savior of the desk right here.
Right.
I'm 7-3 right now. One loss behind StatSpot. Yeah,
okay,
that's my
fair
goal.
enough. Well, that third game of the day is the only one they disagree on, so make sure you keep your eyes glued to the screen during that. But for now, it's time to get into Echo Fox Cloud9, so we're throwing it out to the Battle Arena for the call.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It is just about time here to kick off week number 2. See what these teams got cooking. We already got to see Echo Fox take down Team Liquid in quite an upset victory in week number 1.